Okay, so you bought the building. Not one unit. The whole thing. 20 doors. Maybe 50. Your name on the deed. Rent checks landing every first of the month, like clockwork, like a machine you built with your own two hands. You walk the hallway at night, just to check on it, just to feel it. Every unit lit up behind closed doors, and every one of those lights is paying you. No landlord above you anymore. No boss. Just tenants and a mailbox full of checks. You think, this is what freedom looks like. Here's where most people stop thinking. And here's exactly where it gets interesting. Because an apartment building isn't a paycheck machine. It's a business. A loud, leaking, tax-hungry business that never actually sleeps. And most owners don't find that out until year 2. Let's start with the number nobody says at closing. Rents look great on paper. 20 units at $1,500 a month. That's $360,000 a year. Sounds like a fortune, but gross income isn't your income. It's just the number before the bleeding starts. The National Apartment Association clocked average multifamily operating expenses at $8,657 per unit in 2024. 20 units? That's over $173,000 gone before you've paid a mortgage. Taxes, repairs, salaries, utilities, all of it eating your gross before you ever see a dollar. You didn't buy income. You bought a second job wearing a landlord's mask. Now here's the part almost nobody budgets for. Insurance. From 2019 to 2024, multifamily insurance premiums jumped more than 75%, according to the Federal Reserve. Some owners saw a single-year spike of 45%. No claim filed, no fire, no flood, just a renewal letter that landed like a gut punch. One owner told the Minneapolis Fed that over half of his total expense growth since 2020 came from insurance alone. Not maintenance, not wages, just the policies sitting in a filing cabinet, quietly getting more expensive every single year. You bought a building. The building came with a bill that grows even when nothing burns down. And maintenance doesn't slow down to let you catch your breath either. Most owners set aside 8 to 12% of rental income just for repairs. That's $900 to $2,200 per unit. Every year, minimum. Older buildings? Worse. Aging plumbing. Roofs on borrowed time. One bad winter, and your reserve account is empty by March. You didn't buy walls and a roof. You bought a slow-motion negotiation with entropy, and entropy never loses. But wait, before you sign for building number 2, there's a question almost nobody asks walking through the lobby. What kind of owner are you actually becoming? Because apartment owner isn't one thing. It's at least 4 people wearing the same set of keys. Type 1. The cash flow chaser. Wants the check every month. Doesn't care about appreciation. Buys older, cheaper buildings in unglamorous zip codes because the numbers work today, not in 10 years. Type 2. The appreciation player. Buys in gateway cities. New York, LA, Boston, San Francisco. Cap rates there sit between 4 and 5%, tight and boring, because everyone wants in. Cash flow is thin. The bet is the building's worth double in a decade. Type 3. The value-add operator. Buys the ugly building. Rips out the old kitchens. Raises rents room by room. Time rich, stress rich, margin hungry. Their profit isn't luck. It's sweat, spreadsheet by spreadsheet. Type 4. And this one catches people off guard. The over-leveraged buyer. Bought at the top in 2021 or 2022, rode cheap debt into a building that only worked on paper. Now the loan's coming due, and the math that worked at 3% doesn't work at today's rates. Which one you are decides whether this building builds wealth or slowly drags you under. Now here's the twist almost nobody sees before they've already got the keys. Multifamily cap rates have sat frozen at 5.7% for 7 straight quarters. The longest stretch without movement in 25 years. Analysts expect them to finally dip in 2026. That sounds calm. It isn't. Underneath that calm number, something uglier is moving. An estimated 60% of apartment loans from the 2021 to 2022 boom years are coming due in the second half of 2026. 60%. That's not a statistic. That's a wall. CMBS multifamily delinquency rates have climbed to 6.6%. Bank loan delinquencies sit at just 1.3%, nearly 6 times the gap. Same asset class, wildly different fates, depending on who lent you the money. You could own a building full of paying tenants. rent checks arriving right on schedule, and still be standing on a loan that's about to detonate the second it comes up for renewal. Sit with that for a second. Because the building you bought at the top of the market, with the debt that made the deal pencil out back then, it might be exactly what that maturity wall swallows first. Here's your pattern interrupt. Selling a building isn't like selling a house either. There's no open house with lemonade and a sign in the yard. Your buyer pool is small. Underwriters, syndicators, patient capital that knows exactly how to read AT12 and smell desperation in a rent roll. So some owners just wait. They keep paying the insurance. They keep patching the roof. They keep servicing a loan on an asset that's quietly losing its grip month after month while the phone doesn't ring. There's a real term in finance for exactly this trap. It's called negative leverage. Negative leverage is what happens when the cost of your debt outruns the return your property produces. You're not gaining from the loan anymore. You're bleeding into it. Every payment shrinks your equity instead of building it, because the math flipped and nobody warned you when it did. Nobody puts that phrase in the listing photos. Nobody mentions it next to the granite countertops and the recently renovated caption. But that's the technical, unglamorous truth sitting behind a lot of buildings closing escrow right now. You didn't just buy an apartment building. You bought a bet on interest rates, dressed up as real estate. So here's the real twist, the one that hits after the rent checks stop feeling exciting. Owning a building was never really about the units. That's the accident, the byproduct of getting the real formula right. Debt structured to survive a rate shock. Reserves deep enough to outlast a bad insurance renewal. A market where tenants actually want to stay. The lobby isn't the asset. The rent roll isn't the asset. The ability to refinance without flinching, to sell without begging, to survive the wall without getting crushed by it, that's the asset. And every apartment building sitting on debt that no longer makes sense is quietly doing exactly what that debt was built to do the moment rates moved. Compounding. That's the business you're actually buying into.